Hi.
Live from beautiful Bellevue, Washington, today with our stream that's going to be talking through some of the awesome stuff you're going to be able to check out just next week when Act 1 of episode Heresy launches on February 4th. Now, worry not, you're not going to just have to sit here and listen to me. My name's Andy, I work on the social media team here at Bungie, but I've got some amazing colleagues here to go ahead and share some of the finer details of all the cool stuff we're going to be checking out today. So, to not waste any time and show you all what you came here to see, let's go ahead and introduce everyone so we can get to it. First things first, this gentleman to my left, a brand new addition to our show. If you've joined us before, you may recognize his face, or not recognize his face, rather. The one and only Mr. Nico Stevens, narrative architect here at Bungie. Nico, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Andy?
Doing well, thank you. Obviously, your first time joining us. For anyone that may not have followed you on social media or may be wondering what it is a narrative architect does, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Just a little bit.
Sure. So I joined Bungie,
I joined
bro. Bungie back in Season of Undying, like right at the tail end of that, and I've been working on seasonal content from then up until now and doing the episode stuff.
Yeah.
And I've done a few annual releases here and there, did some Final Shape stuff. People might know my work from Presage or Warlord's Ruin or...
Presage is cool.
Some of those.
Prestige is like my favorite exotic mission of all time. I'm not even kidding.
I'm a little biased, but I do love it.
It's so good. All right, we can talk about that at another time, but thank you for being here, Nico. We appreciate it. Next to him, someone who's joined us in the past, actually. If you joined us for our episode Echoes stream, you probably recognize his face immediately. The one and only Ryan Harris, senior designer here at Bungie. Ryan, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Thank you very much. For anyone that maybe didn't join us on the last Echo stream or is just seeing you for the first time, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here?
For sure, yeah. So I'm a senior activity designer here at Bungie. I've been around since Season of the Plunder. Folks may know my content that I've worked on from most recently the Battlegrounds, from Echoes, and then before that at Savathûn Spire, and then the Defiant Battlegrounds.
Yeah, another one today to add to the best hits, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here, Ryan. We appreciate it. And last but very not least, someone who needs no introduction, a friend to all Guardian kind, a voice of all of you fine folks out in chat, here in the studio, the Youngblood Dillionaire himself, Dylan Gaffner. Dylan, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. How are you doing, Andy? Question number 3.
Doing so well, thank you! Exclamation point, period. To that same end, you are the global community lead here. Can you tell the folks at home that may not have accosted you on Blue Sky or anything like that, just a little bit about who you are and what it is you do here?
Yeah, I mean, we're listening. I'm that guy. Bread, hashtag meme. But ultimately, yeah, we, on the community team, we make sure to field all your feedback, get our roadmap of comms together for what's in a TWID, how can we set expectations, what's all the cool stuff going on in Destiny in the game or outside of it, too.
Yeah.
Speaking of outside of it, I want to do a quick shout out to Mactix. We have a Game to Give charity marathon going on right now. Actually, his time slot coincides with ours. So throughout this, we're going to be dropping links in chat to his charity page.
Awesome.
So if you want to support a good cause, help out the Bungie Foundation and all the people in need, hit up that link, check out the incentives, and donate some money if you can. If you can't, totally fine. Spread the word.
And hey, do yourself a huge favor while you're out there. Give Mactix a follow. Steal some of his builds. I know I do. I mentioned it last stream. All right, so that is enough about us. Let's talk about the cool things that you guys have been building. Obviously, we're about to go ahead and arrive at Act 1 of Heresy. But before we get there, Nico, I'd love to ask you really quickly, what got us to where we are today? Obviously, we're concluding episode Revenant, but a lot has occurred. Can you catch anyone up at home about what happened last time?
Yeah, so the story of the Echoes, which the episodes encompass, has it was kicked off from the Final Shape. So at the end of the Final Shape, we kill the Witness.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers, sorry.
That Witness is dead.
So we take out the Witness, and from the Witness and from the Pale Heart, we see all of these Echoes like burst out and start flying across Sol.
Yeah.
The first one that we encountered was in the hands of Maya Sundaresh. We dealt with her, she escaped. Second one we encountered was in the hands of Fikrul. We dealt with him, he did not escape. And then the third one that we are encountering is going to be here in the Dreadnought. And after it left the Pale Heart, a very specific dread that we're going to be seeing this episode gave chase to it. So we're going to be dealing with the Dread and the Taken and the Hive all revolving around this third Echo.
Excellent, very exciting. All right, so we have up on screen here in just a moment, I think, the key art now for this next episode. There's a lot going on here, but Nico, I'll leave it to you. Can you tell us just a little bit about what we're seeing here?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that's probably going to draw a lot of people's eye is that ghostly visage of Oryx peeking over the top there.
Yeah.
So Oryx is
Oryx!
I'll just say Oryx is back to some capacity, right?
Yeah.
And the Echo has a lot to do with that. So not only are the Guardians jumping through trying to figure out what exactly is going on in this first act, but they're dealing with this old foe that has been dredged up from the bones of the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And I don't want to reveal too much, but
no,
we're going to be clashing.
The Guardians will be there very soon. But so we're dealing obviously again with the Taken King again in some form. So we have some old foes returning. But before we go ahead and move on into gameplay and dive into that, we have some old allies returning as well. Can you tell us about some of the folks we're going to be working with this time around as well?
Yeah, so our main cast right now is Eris Morn, which is our resident witch hive expert. A lot of people know her from Season of the Witch, aptly named.
Know her from
or even further
Destiny.
back, Season of Arrivals is kind of like the first time that she jumped back into this new sort of saga story arc. So we have Eris Morn. She is, as I said, our resident hive expert.
Jahan.
We have the Drifter, her faithful companion, who's following alongside and helping us kind of pick apart what the Taken are doing here.
Yeah.
I think I said at some point before that he always has his finger in the weird of the universe.
He certainly does.
And there's some weird going on here.
Excellent.
And then finally, we have Deputy Commander Sloan.
Right.
And Sloan is our Titan representation here. People will remember her from Season of the Deep or even the Red War. And she has been afflicted with this like Taken corruption that we saw.
Oh yeah, I
Season
forgot
of the
about
Deep.
that.
And she's learned how to sort of hold it back, but also utilize it to make her stronger.
Yeah.
So she is going to be teaching us some of that.
Yeah, that's we're going beyond once again.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say. So we've obviously got a whole new cast of friends and enemies to go up against. But really quickly as well, something we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show is the player journey as well. It's something you guys are really excited about this time around. Can you tell us a little bit about how players are going to be experiencing some of these quests?
Yeah. So. Okay, so players have been talking a lot about the structure of the player journey and how they'd kind of like to see it shaken up a bit, right?
True.
So this is going to be kind of one of our first steps into trying to make that happen in a more tangible way.
Cool.
So you will still notice some of those elements of like returning to a vendor or something like that, but you're also going to notice that we're doing a lot more bespoke, spread out delivery for these beats.
Cool.
You're going to find characters like in the midst of a mission sometimes.
Yeah.
There's some new tech that I don't want to spoil. I want players to see it in the game.
Yeah.
But there's some new tech having to do with the way that we would holo project characters in that sort of projection unit that you would find in the helm.
Yeah.
We're expanding that out so that it's a little bit more versatile, and it is more cognizant of where players want to be and less about like having to return to this one spot and kind of loop through the helm over and over.
That does get pretty
Thank you
repetitive.
guys. Obviously, I'm sure our audience of Guardians who have let Dylan know and his compatriots loud and clear what we're looking for are happy to be hearing that. So that's exciting.
Let me go to the helm. Let me talk to this character. Let me go back to the helm. Let me talk to this character.
Is there a holo projector somewhere in there?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, really exciting. So as we kind of move into that player journey, we're going to be working on something called the Path of Resolve. Can you tell us just a little bit about what that is before we dive into the gameplay here in just a moment?
Yes. So there is an event that happens at the beginning of the episode, which people will see very, very soon after the launch.
Yeah.
And this sort of kicks off. I'm going to choose my words very carefully here.
Redacted.
Redacted, yes.
This redacted event sort of kicks off Sloane's motivation for teaching us about the Taken power that she has been holding back.
Yeah.
And so that is the path of resolve here. She's going to be teaching us how to fight fire with fire. We're going to be going into the Dreadnought, taking some control of that Taken energy, taking some control of those old hive
Dreadnought
magics, and
shows
wielding
up
them,
where?
using our light and using our paracausality, wielding that new power against our enemies.
Very nice. All right, we're going to be obviously keeping
Dreadnought
very
event.
busy.
The Dreadnought shows up in
with
the
that.
last
But
city.
Speaking of, we actually have our requisite local fire team here in-house in the activity as well. Ryan, this is the Nether. This is the new activity
Taken
that's going to be
subclass.
arriving with Act 1 of Episode Heresy. Can you tell us just a little bit about what this is for starters as we go ahead and kind of dive into it?
Yeah, so the Nether is a 3-player activity, and we are back on the Dreadnought's patrol zones. And we'll be exploring the Dreadnought, rooting out the
Dreadnought
Taken
patrol
hive and
zone?
dread corruption that are taking place and
Dreadnought patrol?
taking hold inside
Did he say
the
Dreadnought
itself
patrol
as
zone?
we go through these spaces. And the Nether itself is a uniquely different type of activity. We're really trying to.
It's a
both
specific
baseline, some
activity in
inspiration
the
for this
old
activity
patrol
was
zone.
Looking at Shattered Realm, the Coil, and of course the Dreadnought's patrol spaces. Of course, we are in the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And
It's unclear.
yeah, so just for starters, what you're actually doing.
This is
inside
an
the
activity.
Dreadnought
This is not patrol. It's using the old patrol
baseline,
spaces. Okay.
The patrol zones are randomized and varied. The encounters inside are varied and
Okay.
randomized as
He
well.
needs to
So
be
time over
careful
time
with
when
that
you
word
launch this
patrol,
activity, it's
okay, 'cause
be
that's
a
gonna
different
confuse the
starting
shit out of
bubble,
people.
different encounters and different events and objectives for you to engage with and accomplish as you're exploring the Dreadnought itself.
Yeah. What kind of like modifiers would you say players are going to go up against in here? Because surely they're not just going to go into the Dreadnought and get a warm welcome necessarily.
Yes. Yeah, so the Nether has some very unique modifications to it that we're experimenting with. So first off, players do not regenerate health. And to compensate for that, we are doing something special where we're providing players with plus 300 bonus health baseline to their original HP values and plus 75 shield value. So alongside that, we really want to make your health regeneration or your health as like a resource as you're fighting through this, as we are looking at this as a very rogue-light experience, and we need resources.
Did you say disable all things like restoration, devour?
Emphasis on light there,
Yeah.
of course, because this is still a very uniquely Destiny experience.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of things contributing to that as well. So we do have ammo scarcity as well, so players won't be getting as much ammo.
Scarcity.
There will be ways and avenues to get health and ammo drops in the activity, as well as boons that will improve your power over time as you engage with the activity.
Nice.
And that progressive sort of idea of like power and building up how strong you are as you're moving through the Nether, that roguelite experience, it's also reflective of that narrative of like building yourself up, pushing deeper into the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
The Dreadnought
The
is
Nether, that's
resisting
from
you. It's trying
Minecraft.
to make sure you can't like move towards the Echo and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is you finding ways to like pierce the veil and move beyond their barrier.
Yeah, new foes and new challenges obviously warrant new strategies along the way as well.
Absolutely.
And then you saying like ammo and health is kind of like a resource, so you're not seeing it drop off of enemies and stuff like that, but there are things that you can find like a resource and collect and all that.
Yeah, so we have destination materials. We have urns and pots kind of placed around everywhere, and also destination chests that players can find. And when you break these destructible pots, they'll explode into like a rain of health, ammo, heavy ammo, sometimes boons, sometimes revive tokens. I forgot to mention we are using revive tokens here as a resource as well, so you really need to manage, but like there are avenues to get more revive tokens. There is more avenues to get health and ammo. So we really want players to explore the Dreadnought and encourage that exploration by looking for these urns, looking for the chests, and like searching for those boons, because there's multiple avenues and like, ways for players to search out
Getting
and
those
go
bolt
get them.
charges.
Yeah, and I mean that resource scarcity is really going to make you want to chase those down, and I can imagine
got
that
a super back
helps the
already?
rise.
Absolutely.
To that end as well, actually, obviously
Jesus,
you
look at
mentioned
his
we're
super.
back at the Dreadnought, but I can't imagine this is the exact same one. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Dreadnought has changed?
Yeah, so since the Echo has hit the Dreadnought, a lot of the spaces have changed and like modified. A lot of the skin of the Dreadnought ship has like peeled back, revealing bone and chitin and showing off new secrets, new pathways. So you are in familiar spaces if you've played the Dreadnought before, but there is a lot of new, interesting, unique pathways. Things have changed. Things have become abnormally different.
He just knocked his
there goes
teammate off the
our
map.
And that's the last we ever saw of
Classic.
that party ever again. As mysteriously as they arrived, they were gone.
Yeah.
And we've kind of like, for players who are wanting that explorative aspect, right? We've kind of like separated out the modes a little bit, so people can go in and they can explore the Dreadnought. But people who are like looking to just bust through the activity and get loot, they have a different match-made mode, right?
Absolutely. So the Nether has currently 3 modes. So there's the Nether exploration for those solo type experiences, but they can bring their fire team in as well if they'd like to. And this is more of like that patrol-esque experience that you're looking for. I want to explore at my own like pace. I want to look for secrets. I want to just engage with the space like it was a patrol space back in the day.
Yeah.
It still is the Nether experience of where you're going from. You're playing through the 3 bubbles and there's escalating difficulty. But we do grant to you in that mode a multitude of revives. So you have a way larger pool of revives, so you can make mistakes.
Sure.
It's just for those players who want to like explore at their own whim, play at their own pace. And then additionally, there's also damage modifiers for those players when they're engaging with bosses as a solo player, so they can actually tackle those those hurdles as they come.
Nice.
And
Not a
also some
patrol space,
modifiers on like how
but
many
a
enemies
patrol
are
space.
spawning, so they don't need to like get swarmed by every single enemy in the world.
Can really take in the skybox for a little while and hang out with your buddies. Yeah.
And then additionally, if you do get lost, because this is, we didn't want to overclutter the spaces with objectives, because there is a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of different things to do in every single bubble and location that you go to in the Dreadnought. If you do get lost, you just pop out in your ghost, and there'll be a bunch of star objective icons that'll like let you know where you should be looking and where you should be going for the next spot. Additionally, talking back to those different modes, we do have the match-made mode on advanced baseline difficulty, and then we do have expert as well.
Very cool. Okay, so plenty of challenges for the Guardians that want to undertake those. Make sure they're pushing not only
So not a
themselves,
patrol,
but the opportunity to get
like,
loot
as
far
we
they
know
possibly
it.
can.
Absolutely.
But you
And
can
on that
explore
loot
it.
note as well. Every
But
time you
no
complete a
public
bubble,
events.
there is a
It's
chest
just this
checkpoint,
mode
so
without
you
any
do get loot checkpoints essentially. And like
force.
the average runtime for like a bubble is 8 to 12 minutes, but you do get the most loot by completing the entire activity as a whole.
Got it.
But there are checkpoints for players who just want to jump in for like 8 to 12 minutes, hit that loot checkpoint, like, okay, I'm out for now, or players who want to just like rush through it and get all the loot at every single end of every single bubble checkpoint.
Very cool. Okay. All right. And then also, I think, in addition to the modifiers we're talking about, the Boon System is one that I heard you mention a little bit earlier. I'd love to actually kick off the conversation about that. I think we maybe saw the folks in chat that were eagle-eyed that were keeping an eye
Full
on
charge.
the modifiers may have seen something a little bit earlier before. But can you tell us a little bit about the Boon System?
Yeah, so the boons here are, we have a multitude of boons. We have minor boons, major boons, and corrupted boons. So minor boons are minor stat increases that are pretty much just increase your power and incrementally stack. They can stack up to 10, and they're just like the typical like increased light damage, increased darkness damage, movement speed on kills. Some are like based on health and regenerate health, and are typical like mobility increases, but like things that'll make you stronger over time and allow you to tackle the more difficult bubbles as you approach them.
Yeah.
And then additionally, we have major boons.
Yeah.
And then from there, they're like actually more larger gameplay modifiers that actually affect your abilities and your actions.
Yeah.
And of course now, we do have Eric.
That's right. Yes, actually. So anyone at home that may have noticed, our good friend Nico, please give him a shout out in chat and let him know that you love him, has stepped out of the scene for just a moment, and we are now joined by gameplay feature lead Eric Smith. Eric, how's it going, man?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. You guys are all so nice today. I'm so taken aback. For anyone that may not have seen you in the Vidocs or anything like that, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are, what you do here at Bungie as a gameplay feature lead?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm Eric Smith, gameplay feature lead on Destiny 2. So I help create the game's abilities, kind of anything the player can do, the game feel of the game, build crafting, kind of general sandbox stuff, and kind of make the controller disappear into your hands while you're playing.
Yeah, the many tools we use, you're helping go ahead and make sure that they're all available for us.
For the mouse and keyboard as well.
Right, those two.
I'm just sitting there tapping on an empty desk. That's how my Trials teammates feel. So, we're talking about the Boon System. You obviously had a big hand in this as well. Rather. Can you tell us a little bit about, what this system is for and maybe about the boons the players are going to have available?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of boons available. There are the minor boons that you mentioned, and then there's the major boons. So the major boons are more gameplay effective.
Support auto.
And they will do things like, kind of like we saw in the Pale Heart with the Traveler's Blessings, right? Where you pick something up and it kind of gives you a new ability almost. One of those in the Pale Heart was Solar Slide, where you run and slide and a solar wave would go out and blow things up.
Yeah.
In this, we have Solar Slide as well, but we also have Stasis Slide, where you run and you slide, and a big stasis wave comes out and makes crystals and freezes things, and you can blow them up yourself. And there's stuff that is going to allow you to heal more effectively. There's looks like this one's interesting. Reduces damage per piece of episodic armor worn.
Oh, cool.
It is quite significant boost as well.
Yep. So there's a bunch, and then finally we have the kind of Kiss Curse boons, as we call them, but they have an official name. What was that?
The corrupted boons. And
Here we go. We're looking at one right now.
Yeah, so these corrupted
Riven's
boons
Curse.
are offered at the same time as major boons, as players can only obtain 5 to 6 major boons / corrupted boons per run through. Those are granted to players once randomly at one of the 3 encounters inside of the bubble, and then again at the end of the bubble once they complete it. And there's some ritual loop stuff too that will allow them to get another one at the start of a bubble or the start of a run through. But these Kiss Curse, or corrupted boons, as we call them, essentially give you a great bonus or increase to a specific thing at the cost of major negative. So one, for example, here that I'm really fond of is Glass Cannon, which increases all damage massively, while also increasing all the damage you take.
Yeah.
So,
which is also, that's the dev name.
Oh yeah, I put that on every
yeah,
time.
that's the
Okay, yeah.
dev name.
So if you don't find one specifically named Glass Cannon, we are obviously, we hang out in our own Word docs and Excel sheets quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's true. And that one is interesting. It's an interesting choice that you can make since the kind of like the risk to reward ratio, right? Because
Hero
you
moments,
have,
baby. High risk, high reward.
non-regenerating
All
health
day.
in here. You really have to come at each encounter with that kind of mindset of health as a resource.
It is.
And make sure that,
Not YOLO.
if I take damage from this enemy or that enemy, it has the potential to stick with me unless I can find a healing source.
Yeah, really got a fire team option too, where it's like every time you're offered those major boons, your teammates can also choose different ones. So it's like, oh hey, 2 of us are going to do that glass cannon, or external.
Yeah.
And then another person is going to do, oh hey, every
I'm
time
gonna
I
be
do a
tank.
finisher, things are volatile around me, and I get my grenade back. So I can spam more of those, keep you a bit safer when you get swarmed by things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it's also good to know on the health regeneration aspect, the Gameplay and Sandbox team has tuned a lot of the abilities and weapons that do heal players, so they're not extremely overpowered.
Got it.
So there's been a wide tuning pass on all of this entirely, so you're going to see when you're trying to heal up your teammate with one of our new support auto rifles.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time, but it does work, and it is very efficient and very helpful, especially the abilities, so you're definitely going to want to spec into healing builds.
Oh, man, I have to just give a shout out to the team on like Season of the Deep. We were going deep into the oceans of Titan, and now it feels like we're going deep into space, and like the pressure you can feel. Tentacles taking energy, like they knocked it out of the park with the vibe here. I'm feeling a little claustrophobic, but also like,
Just getting
feel it.
pulled deeper into the labyrinth, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to, there's obviously modifiers you're going to be facing as a Guardian, as a fire team. There'll be boons available to you, but this episode as well is going to bring with it a bevy of new gear between both armor and weapons. Now, obviously, for the keen-eyed Guardians in chat who are watching, there's obviously some seasonal armor, some episodic armor sets that we have here that you can go ahead and check out firsthand. But I think, kind of in the spirit of this activity and build crafting, let's talk about some of the weapons, actually. There's one here on screen, obviously. This is our new support frame auto rifle. Given that health is such a precious resource in this activity, Eric, can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so this is Adamantite. This is our new strand support auto. And it has some really unique features. One of those is that when I heal enemies, so these support autos, there's 2 of them in the game now.
Heal
when I
allies.
hit fire at an ally, it'll send out kind of healing rounds at them, right? And then if I need to, shoot an enemy right next to that ally, I can just ADS and go full offense, right?
Yeah.
But the healing from this, because you're shooting out strand rounds, if you heal an ally repeatedly, it'll actually cause them to sprout little unravel seeds, which kind of turns them into this like short-term, strand turret.
Throw your friend as a grenade into the fight, right?
Cover them in Telesto boats, put it in, but now it's like, oh hey, I'm healing you and making you.
Let your hunter friend with the Caliban's Liar's Handshake roll run in there.
See it
and
now.
just keep him alive, right?
And that's why I'm so excited about this activity, because we've kind of introduced all these kind of healing things, but in a lot of the game, I
can't wait to use it in solo GM.
Right. And here you can see our health isn't regenerating. So we need to really think about, maybe there is a dedicated healer on your team. Maybe there's multiple allies.
The golden trifecta, healer, DPS tank.
Honestly, that build crafting is kind of transcending now beyond yourself, just to per activity, per fire team, whatever you've got. So this one's obviously going to be a ton of fun, but that is far from the only weapon that's being added around. As far as the episodic weapons, are there any others in particular you want to call out?
There are. I do actually want to talk about this one with one more thing.
Oh, please.
This weapon can roll Slice and Tear, which are 2 perks that sever enemies.
Yeah.
It's not often we get a
The hell's Tear?
Primary legendary weapon that can debuff in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And that's going to play into things like the artifact this season, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
So there's Adamantite, which is a really solid weapon. And then let's look at Psychopomp. So Psychopomp is our new area denial grenade launcher.
Such a good name.
I love it. Yeah.
It's just Psychopomp. Yeah. Let's go.
So Psychopomp, so these area denial grenade launchers, the fantasy of these things is like a
Discount Wither Horde.
A flamethrower, right? We don't have flamethrowers in the game, but this is as close as you can get to a flamethrower. So I imagine I'm using one every time I use this thing.
I'm going to now.
This thing has a really cool new perk on it that keys into our new
Bolt charge.
ARC keyword bolt charge, which we'll also talk about in a bit. And also it works with Amplified as well. So this thing, if you are ARC build crafted this season and ARC has received a ton of love, this thing is going to absolutely slay out.
Yeah. It's one we'll definitely get to see our fire team put it to good use here. But as someone who's been building area denial grenade launchers into my loadout, I can't wait. Honestly, the second I learned this was on the docket, I was so excited.
The folks that have been working on these weapons too, like the general look of them, it goes along with what you were saying of, oh hey, the dreadnought's kind of peeling back. If you look at the weapon, you can see like, oh my gosh, there's like
the bone.
There's
the
the core. Yeah.
Actually, Dylan, while I've got you, also the previous one on Adamantite, that one was an adept weapon.
Yeah. So let me pull out my handy dandy notebook.
There we go.
Here's the meme.
Screen cap.
But you can notice that for this go of our episodic weapons, you can earn adept weapons, and these are we're considering or calling them our heretical arsenal.
Got it.
Heresy, heretical. Like we're going deep into this.
It's not
theme.
theoretical. It's heretical.
You can see that it has a new a different treatment to the colors. It's kind of like the hollow foils from Into the Light.
Okay.
Not so much exactly that of hey, it's an ornament, but like this has the base die and all that, and it looks really good. Shout out to the team. But you can also notice there are multiple perks in each column. There's actually an extra origin trait as well. Shout out Taken King, all that kind of stuff from a raid near you. But there's a very interesting ways of earning these weapons. So you're going to be going into these activities, upping that difficulty. You're going to be exploring the dreadnought and looking for these. As well with the episodic weapons, there are going to be new fragile mods. So they're called fragile because these will be expiring at the close of the episode. But they're going to give you pretty insane bonuses to your outgoing power. So not necessarily the power of the weapon, but the actual like versatility of it. One of these, I have the power of resolve. Rapid hits, they create Taken Seekers. They're really good against champs. So that's an example. There are going to be a couple at launch and then more coming with each act. But these will be great in Nightfalls. Will be great in higher content.
Champions and shambles.
Super strong mods
for when you're going
expire,
in and
so we can change up the sandbox.
A ton of feedback, and we absolutely heard you. We're listening. About the tonic system. So there are things with, like the user experience was a bit rough of having to go back in, create more tonics, trigger them in the middle of activities because they were running out. The team really took that to heart. They want to make sure that there's agency in how you're earning these weapons. So they're going to be making it through the Tome of Want. You can kind of target these weapons. You don't need to go in and do this a ton of times. You can say, hey, I want to go for this auto rifle. I want to go for this grenade launcher, linear fusion rifle, and I really want to be going for that to try to get these heretical versions. So effectively, like, I don't want to say more loot because it's not going to be like, oh, hey, you're getting 10 times more. But it's going to feel like, oh, hey, I have a goal of getting this loot, and now I'm going to go and play the game and get what I'm looking for.
Definitely. No, it's super exciting, honestly. Just having those more opportunities to just break your loadouts out a little bit, find new ways to go ahead and really excel, especially given the challenges we're going to be going up against on the Dreadnought.
And with the fragile mods, like it's baking into that exploration. Like you were saying, how do you find them again?
Yeah, so they can be found through secrets and chests found in the Nether. They're spread
out.
They're hidden pretty well, but I imagine folks will find them over time or through some YouTube videos.
Or live streams.
We won't miss it this time. Fallout, obviously. If you could make some guides for us, we'd greatly appreciate it. So Iswerg, obviously, yes. One of the best communities out there.
Let's see, anything else? Yeah, I mean, the last keyword I want to throw on there is aspirational. Ultimately, we want to have tools that players
I make informational videos.
And increase their power.
So we've got a couple more weapons I definitely want to talk about because we're reprising some as well. But while we have a brief reprieve from combat, I'd love to actually go ahead. I know you mentioned earlier aspects, Eric. Let's go ahead and take a look really quickly. We got our friendly neighborhood Warlock here up first. Can you tell us about the new aspects the Guardians are going to have this time around?
Absolutely. So the Warlock has a new aspect called Ionic Sentry. And Ionic Sentry, when you defeat targets with kinetic or arc weapons or arc abilities, you kind of charge this thing that you see in a little gauge on your screen, much like Gunpowder Gamble, if you're familiar with that.
Absolutely.
When that's full, it grants you a bonus grenade that you can then throw out. On impact, it blinds anything nearby and then spawns this like little arc turret, right? That zaps things, chains to different things.
Yeah.
And every time it zaps something, it accumulates a stack of bolt charge.
Yeah.
So bolt charge is our new arc keyword. And what this does is when you have a stack of bolt charge, any damage you do, it's going to give you additional stacks.
Okay.
Once you hit 10 stacks, your next ability damage is going to create this giant lightning bolt that comes out of nowhere, hits the ground, and just like fries everything nearby, right? What Ionic Sentry can do is not only generate the stacks, but because it is ability damage in itself, it can expend the stacks.
Yeah.
So you send this thing out, and it is doing work.
You're throwing a meat grinder at them, basically. An arc-flavored meat grinder. At anyone foolish enough to cross it. But also, I mean, given that's going to be using the new keyword as well, like it's not just going to be for mobs of trash. It's like you can throw this down against the big bosses and obviously have it blind them and do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, this is great against bosses because any healthy targets, it's going to be continually zapping them, granting you those stacks, and then discharging the stacks as well.
All right.
It's like an offensive version of the stasis Warlock turret too. So it's like, let's say you stack them and you're going into onslaught, so you have your freeze. It's like, I need these enemies to leave me alone. But then you come in and you're like, it's time we're going to boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, man. They're gone.
Sure,
Turns them
but
into
it
potatoes.
also, if you are in trouble, kind of like the stasis thing, like let's hit the pause button. The blinding aspect of this, I can just kind of throw it out and smoke bomb and hide, right? If I need to,
All right, so Warlocks obviously have a brand new tool to add to their toolbox, but the other classes do as well. Which one should we show them next?
Let's stick with the arc thing. So let's go to Titan. So Titan, we have Storm's Keep. In this is like a barricade modification. So any barricade you drop, it's going to kind of be electrified. And standing behind this electrified is going to passively accumulate bolt charge on you. So I drop this on the ground. I start shooting enemies from behind my barricade. Let's say it's a rally barricade, or like we just reworked Titan's ramparts, the barricade you can shoot through. That is going to be kind of building those stacks up and discharging them as I'm firing my weapon. Like I said, bolt charge is usually only ability damage that discharges it. But as long as I'm standing behind Storm's Keep, my weapon damage is going to discharge it as well. So it kind of turns any weapon you want into like a quasi Thunderlord.
Not necessarily an arc weapon then in this case.
Correct.
Exciting. Okay.
So this one's spicy. I think we're going to see this in a lot of damage phases, and
I think I'm running Titan for the new dungeon.
You can play this all we want.
There's a lot of theoreticals we can dive into, right?
In dev, and then we drop it into the world, and we'll see how we need to tune this thing. Maybe it's up, maybe it's down. But we want it to be powerful, and I think it is powerful.
There's a lot of players saw this preview in the TWID. I think it was last week, and they immediately noticed the animation for the Titan was changed, right? So when you went down to put down the barricade, it was like this big thunderclap, like, hey, I'm going to charge everybody up, right?
And the animation went through a lot of different kind of versions. We put so much love into all of these abilities because, it's in the game forever, and we want it to be right. So, there were like slams and like raises, and we ended up with the thunderclap, and our animators are godlike. They're absolutely incredible at their jobs. But then it's animation. It's like the VFX artists have to time everything to the animation, and then the sound design people have to time it to that, and then the test has to make sure we're not breaking anything. And it's like so much work goes into even one aspect like this, and we're really excited to put it in players' hands.
It's a coalescence of art and science that you guys do that consistently blows my mind. But now we've got obviously one more for our friendly neighborhood hunters like myself. As well.
Best for last.
This one will be able to get you out of sticky situations as well. So
So Arc Strider already has for arc aspects, but they needed one in their void slot. So we gave Night Stalker on the prowl. and shout out to the boy Danny Nanny, who is the designer for this one.
Nanny!
So on the Prowl, you kind of become a hit person, right?
Yeah.
And whenever you go invisible, like you get a contract to kill something in the area.
Yeah.
And that thing is marked, and a little, a target shows up on them for you and your allies. If you successfully complete that contract and whack that jabroni, right, you.
Sorry, jabroni.
No, excellent use of jabroni. Yeah.
Thank you. So
That's canon now, everyone.
So I whack a jabroni, whack a jabron, and then what happens is my entire team gets
Jabroni, dude.
energy, right? And this is kind of a callback to Heart of the Pack from the old Night Stalker. It originally was actually a callback where we gave you stats, but then because we're working the stats coming up, like we decided to just give you ability energy, right? Yeah. So ability energy, and then the victim, if successfully executed, explodes into a cloud of smoke, which I can then enter to become invisible again, thereby marking a new target. So I can kind of chain these like assassinations as I move throughout a strike or something, and my entire team can be advantaged by.
Oh, nice. So you can bring your fire team through the same cloud of smoke.
Same cloud of smoke. Everyone goes invisible. So yeah, you're kind of sneaking.
Spicy, man.
It's on the prowl. We're prowling through the activity.
You can already see like one of the exotic pairings on the screen too. Those creepy eyes freak me out every time. But on the Oculus, that's going to benefit the smoke and all that kind of stuff. You can pair with Lorentz Driver. Sorry, Ritz on social media asking for some gameplay today, but we have too much to go through. Yeah. But it's like you're embodying that I'm a bounty hunter fantasy. So your gun can be giving you bounties through Lorentz Driver. You're getting bounties through this. There's going to be a lot of combinations in build crafting. Yeah. So you had mentioned too, Gwyzen, right?
Yeah. Gwyzen. I always call it Gwyzen, but Gwyzen Vest got a rework. So when you exit invisibility, it emits a weakening cloud of smoke, and then some super energy perks as well. So nice. There's going to be a lot of strong pairings, and then with the artifact, Void features in the artifact pretty heavily too.
You know what? Honestly, you just gave me the best segue I could possibly imagine. We have looked, obviously, we've begun to scratch the surface of some of the new build crafting opportunities y'all are going to have, but obviously we got a new artifact as well this episode. We've got the Tablet of Ruin, which seemed aptly named. Now, just as a starting point, can you let us know the general theme of this one?
Yeah. So the theme of this episode's artifact is kind of subjugation and bending enemies to your will. Yeah. Essentially, as we are going back into the Dreadnought, it was unlikely that the Dread or the Hive were going to come peacefully, so we got to bring the big guns to force their hand.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Yeah. It's not about us winning; it's about them losing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Tablet of Ruin is there to ruin their day, essentially. Yeah, so I'll call out some highlights of mine.
Yeah. One primary.
If we look at column 5, because column 5.
Column 5's a strong one.
That's where.
Yeah, we got to go right.
One primary anti-champ.
We have Void. Which one is it? It's called Void Flux. That's it. Void Flux. So defeating weakened targets with a Void weapon applies volatile to nearby targets, and then you pair that with the column 4 Maligned Harvest, and rapidly applying volatile causes your next instance of Void weapon damage to weaken, which then feeds back into the other one. And it's like if you can get this engine going, in a crowded room, it's nasty.
Me and my fellow Fighting Lion
whack a lot of
a really good time. This one I can already tell. The Fighting Lion subreddit, I want to see some clips.
And then I also want to call out Horde Shuttle in here.
Please.
So Horde Shuttle, damaging unraveled targets with a weapon, occasionally spawns a Threadling. This is really good for your strand builds, especially against high health targets. Because I unravel them, they stay unraveled. I keep shooting them, they're just popping Threadlings out, left and right.
Nice.
And then, because we talked about arc, flashover in column 4, when you gain a maximum stat or bolt charge, you also become amplified. Amplified is getting a big kind of buff this episode as well. To its survivability. So really, arc in general is it's hot.
It's
going to be hot.
Yeah. It's going to be some spicy arc.
Shockingly good.
Shock 'em, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's end too. Dylan, can you walk us through some of the stuff in the first column as well? We're going to have some new champion rather mods to take out.
Yeah,
One
so
primary.
I mean, like, there's all these really ability-focused items, which is great because there are a bunch of anti-champion keywords in there as well.
Yeah.
But let's say like, hey, we're going in, we're doing a Nightfall. You can see actually there's anti-barrier sidearm for the first time in years. Like I think that was around for one of the first Grandmaster rotations, and it was like, what's
Season 10.
Right. Dust off the call.
Now we have rocket sidearms. We have Forerunner, so you can be like popping the shields, throwing the grenades, that kind of stuff. Anti-barrier sniper, that was a favorite from the past. We just did a big rework on glaives. The team did a crack job on there. So unstoppable
Single
there.
primary.
And then
Interesting.
up at the top you can see machine guns, and then linear
over-
fusion rifles
only
and fusion
overload is
rifles
a
are getting the unstoppable. And then in fifth column, you'll see a perk that players may enjoy of particle
It's back.
reconstruction.
I'm so excited. I just got my hands on the Vex Mythic last finally. Thank you, Malachi. After all this time, honestly. So I have a hunch I'm going to be putting those in the main rotation pretty quickly as
You
well.
don't have Vex yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, don't rub. I didn't
What about you?
I don't know if I have a Vex.
I didn't even
to be
get it in
honest.
D1, so it was like such a moment for me. It was like a decade of
Well,
waiting, right? Yeah.
I think there's a reason to go back into Vault of Glass. I mean, we can help him get his.
I'm down. I
That's a
played.
good point.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like some raids I have played 5 times and have like 5
I have my thing
of
muted,
these
sorry.
raid exotic, right? And others.
Oh,
I've played
you're the guy where
20
you get it on
times.
the first run.
I
mean, that's
usually
like,
am, but not with Vault for some reason. I don't know.
yeah, Matt Noguchi out there, you. Oh,
Feast or famine, right?
yeah.
So go back to Vault, you were saying.
Vault of Glass. So there are a bunch of folks where, they want crafting back. They want to do something where they have an end goal. And Vault of Glass is a great opportunity for us to say, hey, you've been going through Heresy content. You want to do some raids. You want to do something else. Like, we're adding
Vault of
weapons
Glass
to
crafting.
Strikes, Gambit, Crucible. We have a bunch of new weapons and trials, a new armor set and trials that you've seen in some of these previews.
Yeah.
But Vault of Glass is getting crafting.
Yes.
Chat goes wild.
Yeah.
You can go get that Fatebringer, get it a couple times as a deep sight, craft it, and then you can make that roll that you've always wanted.
Yep. Yeah.
As you're going through Vault, let's say you want to go through and craft like 5 of the weapons that are available, then you can hop into Master with all your spoils, be going for those Adept versions, and those have a chance to drop with multiple or more perks in those columns. We've been doing this for the last few raids with craftable weapons, but now it's like, hey, I want my Heathen Vengeance. There's a new intrinsic perk. What's the origin trait?
Yes. Yeah.
And then, let's say I'm trying to go for a combination. I could get 3 on this, and then I can enhance it, make
Super
it this
expires,
crazy
weapons max
rocket
out is
launcher
doubled?
that's good and,
Yeah.
and go into endgame and do
Loads
some really cool
reserves.
stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So we've obviously we've got another weapon. I know I mentioned some reprised ones, but actually, as long as we're hanging out here in the menus, Eric, I'd actually love to put you on the spot again and talk about just some of the exotics that players are going to be able to go ahead and acquire this episode as well. Let's start wherever you'd like to. Which one would you like to kick it off with?
Let's look at Barrow Dyad.
Barrow Dyad. I was hoping you'd say that.
So Barrow Dyad is
That's a submachine gun?
Is that a gun?
Is that a gun?
Is that actually a gun?
it's hybrid gun for his sort of.
Our team does not mess around, man. That's so cool. Yeah.
So this thing is a strand submachine
yo-yo?
gun, and it is also a monster in combat. So
Another
thing,
weapon
as
we
I
turn
deal
into a
damage
gun.
with it, it generates this resource called Blight. And next time I reload, whether it's manual or I just run out of my mag, it's going to convert that Blight into these strand seekers that next time I pull the trigger, it's going to fire those out and they're going to bounce between enemies.
Auto reloading.
Here we go. Yep. So we got some gameplay of this right now, actually.
Yes. So, but you can also see it.
You just juking everything.
The Grim is a paid actor, obviously.
Tonight is snow.
You can also see that this thing auto
Battery?
reloads over time. So this thing, rumor is it's partially sentient.
Yeah.
It has its own wants and
It
needs.
wants to kill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you satisfy it, it's going to reward you.
Yeah.
So look how fast that ammo comes back. So what you can actually do is play this mini game where you are trying to shoot enemies to build up that blight. And then you can pace yourself to auto reload to build up more blight, and then manually reload to load all those seekers into your mag. In addition, it has this perk where dealing damage to 3 different enemies generates in a short period of time. Generates a large amount of blight.
Very nice. Okay, so equal opportunities to go ahead and clear out crowds, but also to just burn down the big bad that might be standing in front of you, or whichever one's foolish enough to do so.
So there are going to be player questions immediately of when you're talking about blight and those sorts of keywords, is this a weapon of sorrow?
If
That's
you
a great
satisfy
question.
it.
It is not
Never
a
gonna
weapon
happen.
of sorrow. But, you know,
Not a weapon of
I heard
sorrow.
another rumor that this thing is a kind of fossilized precursor to a weapon of sorrow.
Interesting.
But I can't, confirm.
Redacted.
This, yeah. One of our top 3 favorite words, redacted. Okay, so this is the
Also,
one, and we
Whack and
won't
Jabroni.
spoil how, but players will be earning this one this season. It'll have, catalysts and other intrinsics to earn as well, I assume.
This thing has a lot of surprises. I don't know where. Yeah.
We can leave it
Does this
there.
thing
Let's
have
just
a-
leave it. I like
Does
that.
this thing have a lot of recoil?
All right, so obviously, the Barodiad will be one that will be getting added to a lot of loadouts across the entire Sol system. But that's not the only one we're going to be taking a look at today.
Yeah, let's also look at our new exotic trace rifle Lodestar.
Here we
So
go.
this one will be given to players
Trace.
via the season pass.
Low intensity.
This is the first primary ammo trace rifle ever.
So cool.
and-
So excited.
So in hipfire, this thing behaves like the trace rifle you know and love. But when you ADS with it, it's closer to a pulse rifle actually.
Okay.
When you ADS, your standard pulse rifle has this kind of cadence where it's prap, prap, prap. There's
Yeah.
like these kind of
Well done.
spaces in between the rounds coming out. But this thing is more the steady, EDM, BPM.
Here we go. Yeah, so players are
where-
seeing it now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're womp, 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 womp.
Yep, that's
womp,
right, yeah.
And it's like it's nonstop until you run out of ammo, right?
So we got
Yeah.
burst sidearms, burst hand cannons, your pulse rifles, and now we got a burst trace rifle. I love this
You're
kind
dead.
of stuff, man. Yep.
Yeah, so outside of this unique firing behavior, as I deal damage with it, you can see down in the bottom left corner we have arc alignment. And what
Okay.
that's doing is charging the coils of the weapon. Once it's fully charged, if I press and hold to auto reload, or sorry, special reload.
Oh, right.
Alt
As I
fire.
hit fire, I jolt anything I hit.
Yeah.
So the jolt is
Alt
a
hit fire,
debuff,
okay.
right? So you can kind of
Jolted.
charge this thing up, auto reload to go into the other fire mode, and then kind of sweep the beam across a bunch of enemies,
Yeah.
jolt them all, and then
Paintbrush of death, this thing. Yeah.
and then the final perk this thing has is when ADS'd, any time you defeat a arc debuffed enemy, they explode into a blinding explosion. So it's this loop where I can charge it up, I jolt enemies,
Yeah.
I defeat the jolted enemies with the ADS shot, which explodes and damages more enemies. Which
Good for
charges
Stylus
it up.
Executioner.
Yeah.
It's
The
this-
loop continues, honestly, yeah.
This thing has, I think, a really high skill ceiling.
And this is just this one weapons loop. There's obviously all the different artifact mods. There's all the
Oh,
new
yeah.
aspects. There's the new gear we're going to have available to us through the Dreadnought. Theory crafters, update your spreadsheets. The time has begun.
There's some big brain combos you can pull off.
Yeah, and I will be counting on stealing all of them. All right, so we also, really quickly before we move on, we have some new armor as well with Trials. Dylan, can you briefly tell us a little bit as well about the new updates to Trials and the new armor?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll still have Heresy gameplay on here, but as I was saying, like, once you're kind of like, oh, hey, I've been playing that for a bit, I want to go play my core rituals, like Nightfalls, Crucible, that kind of stuff. If I want the endgame PvP experience, Trials is getting kind of a rework.
Yeah.
It's mostly focused around the Lighthouse experience. So the main goal, big shout out to Mercules on the team that's been
Oh, is
working
health not
on this for a
regenerating?
while, and then
It's a
Tess
thing
and
on the,
everybody too. But what
Dreadnought.
is a Trials experience when it's not flawless or bust?
Right.
What is something where, as a lesser skilled player, somebody that just wants to go in and play some
Never
like,
says Gambit.
elimination, get in, get some rewards, and then also visit the Lighthouse and see our friend Saint.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's framed more around streaks. So you don't need that flawless 7 games in a row ticket to go up to the Lighthouse. Now
Yeah.
it's more, oh, hey, I won 2 games in a row, lost a couple, but ultimately got 7 over time. Now I can go to the Lighthouse, open that chest, and then get some cool rewards.
Yeah.
So we had an emphasis on big article go out about Crucible. There's some comp changes. There's a bunch of matchmaking stuff, but also Trials is our main game, or main focus for that. And you can see the armor that you get on there. You'll be getting these pieces like once a week or a couple times a week through challenges or opening the chest.
Nice.
But we're going to that kind of Osirian, that Egyptian theme again. And these text shaders, great. It's
Yeah.
one of those pieces where, okay, I'm going to be spending a couple weeks in here to fizzle. Oh my gosh, don't carry me, teach me.
Yeah.
But yeah, even
Just
if
don't
you're,
go up against me while you're out there. If you could do me a solid,
yeah,
that'd be great.
even if you're not high skill, it's like you can earn these armor pieces. The
Yeah.
cool cosmetic bit is like, oh hey, as a high skill player, I still want that representation of what Flawless used to encapsulate. So if you hit a 5, a 6, a 7 win streak and go open that chest, you're unlocking different glows. You're getting different cosmetics like ships, ghosts, the sparrow.
Aura farming time.
Right?
That's right.
And then afterwards, how long of a streak can you go on? We're going to have a new emblem tracker where it's like, oh man, I went on a 25 win streak in Trials. I'm kind of hot right now. And then
Said
you have,
Andy never.
yeah, Andy saying, hey, Dylan, you want to play Discord? And I'm like, sorry, I'm a bit too busy.
It's all right. We get it. You're a big deal. But
I'm not a
no,
big
thank
deal.
you, honestly, in the interest of being busy. Thank you and yours, obviously, putting together that article. If anyone wants to see all of that in painstaking detail, it took a village. So Dylan, to you and the PvP Strike team and everyone, thank you a ton for getting all that information together. I know we have one more topic to move on to, but I'm realizing in my notes I didn't quite get to speak to the reprised weapons. Let's call out a couple before we move on. There's one in particular I'm actually pretty excited about. It's the return of probably one of my favorite pulse rifles. I've been watching a lot of TikTok. Our friend Epic Defender out there is running Fighting Lion and, Cold Denial. So I've gone ahead and personally dusted off my Cold Denial, which is now also making a return. So if you don't still have it from Season of Arrivals, now's your chance.
Cool.
Dylan,
Cold
we were
Denial.
talking about this a little bit earlier. What's your favorite role for this one?
Well, so back in the day, I always made sure to have Head Seeker, and it was kind of a niche perk back then. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, it helps with one-on-ones a bit.
Right.
But it has been buffed over time. It's been a while since Season of Arrivals. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be going for Head Seeker again on this baby. And like, one of the cool things is that all of the reprisals are going to be dropping day 1 of Act 1.
Cool.
So you can go and get this. There were a few others that were mentioned, or I believe you're about to
Who's
mention.
logging in for this
Another
weapon?
one. Yes, that's right. We can honestly, I can talk about, or wait, my favorite role or the next weapon?
I don't care about your favorite role.
Okay.
No,
Fair
no,
enough.
no,
You know what?
go.
No, that's fine. You know what? Message
Roast?
received. I'll leave that for my
What is your
inventory
favorite
alone.
role? Because we debated this.
Well, there's,
Come on.
all right, it's very close. It's Zen Moment Head Seeker, but
Okay. No, that's good.
It's
That's
just a two-burst machine. But another one I want to call out, one that's so well beloved by the community that a member, a content creator in our community named themselves after it. Whispering Slab Enjoyer. Whispering Slab is now also getting reprised as well. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for y'all to go ahead and add this one back into your
Cloak of the
inventory.
Leopard?
Is there going to be any new roles added for this one as well, Dylan? Anything
Oh,
exciting?
yeah. I mean, all of the weapon rolls, they're going to be a bit revamped. There will be some heavy hitters from the past, but also new perks have been introduced over time.
Yeah.
I mean, for the seasonal weapons, too, I believe it was, Morgan Dickens, like working with her to see what are all the different roles, what can we call it on the stream.
Yeah.
She put a lot of love into those. Big shout out to the rest of the team as well. Like, I wish I could name every single person, but
Yeah.
as you said, it takes a village, it takes a city to build a game.
Absolutely.
So big love for everybody
Yeah,
there.
we're just the ones sitting up here today. There's obviously a ton of incredible peers of ours here at Bungie that are behind the scenes building all of this every single day. So to our teammates and compatriots at Bungie, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.
Are there any weapons you're looking forward to?
Ooh, yeah, let's really quickly check.
Oh, I'm looking
Sammy
forward to all
Cat
the
does
new
3
Dreadnought
bows, no
weapons.
Yeah.
They look so
Steel
gorgeous,
Greek.
especially the new support frame. So
Yeah.
I'll be rocking that through my run throughs the Nether. Just like watching our playtesters like run through the final bubble there, they were struggling and they need some healing.
Yeah.
So I'll be rocking that, healing my teammates.
You're a better man than I am.
Yeah.
But we already knew that,
Healing grenade.
obviously.
Does
Eric,
healing
any
grenade
one
even
last one
work?
that you want to call out
I
before
mean,
we move on?
Got
that
to,
Whispering
right?
Slab is just so sexy, man.
Isn't it?
Like,
Honestly,
it's
what a
just like-
distinctive bow. Like, how do you
It
not
is.
love
It's just like a big flat thing with a string. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
You know it means pain when you see it, honestly.
true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you shoot arrows from it, or do you just take it and hit people with it?
Dealer's choice, obviously. Depends whether or not you're a Titan. All right, so
We have different
obviously
definitions of
have talked
sexy,
through a lot of stuff today, but
jabroni.
there is plenty more for you to go ahead and dive into when Heresy launches next week on February 4th. But before we go ahead and obviously conclude the show, we've got a
Dungeon.
couple more announcements to talk through, including our next dungeon race. Dylan, this is something you and your compatriots on the community team have told us all about in past blogs and stuff, but a quick recap for anyone out there. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sunder Doctrine race?
Yeah, so Sunder Doctrine, that's going to be launching on February 7th at Reset.
Okay.
We're going to do the contest mode as well. Some people call it a race to the top.
Yeah.
So with our last dungeon, we had a podium finish where it was the first 3 fire teams are winners for second, third. This time we're going back to that format of a singular fire team will be crowned. They will be that first to cross the finish line. The really cool thing about this as well is we're kind of mixing up what is the stake, what is the reward.
Yeah.
Last dungeon we did a really cool hoodie with some personalization. This time around we're doing a trophy. It's going to be
Cool.
Nice little trophy. It's not not as big as say the raid title belts that you get,
Sure.
but it's going to be something that's very special, customized, like unique to this experience.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Joe, to the Raid and Dungeon team, and then also. Let's see here. Sorry, Henshin Scrap. We're going to be partnering with them to create this trophy, and we'll have a picture of it in a TWID next week, or maybe even later this week.
I already won it.
But,
It's rigged, just like the
It's going to
NFL.
be something that represents this dungeon, and it's going to be pretty fun.
That's super exciting.
So-
And also, our friends on the Good Super Products team have been hard at work making sure that all of us that dive in, because I've never done a contest mode in my life, I'm not brave enough. There is some stuff to go ahead for the Guardians to go ahead and earn as well. Dylan, can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here too?
Sure. Yeah. So on the screen, this is going to be earnable just by playing through. We have a new. I love this note sheet, man. Work shirt. So
Work shirt.
It has a hood, but it's not the hoodies of old. This is going to be a new thing. A work shirt that you can earn. The
Work
wristband
shirt?
was a pretty big winner for players.
Like
they
a
enjoyed
uniform?
earning that last
Yeah,
go, so
definitely.
we have that again. And then we also have our Bungie rewards, the
Blue
title
collar
pins. So go
uniform?
in, do all of the challenges, the triumphs. I believe solo as well, which I applaud
am I gonna
everybody
be-
that does solo dungeons because it's just
Like,
insane
do I go
to me.
fishing in
But
that?
you can earn these this
In the
pin
cold?
to represent how hardcore you are.
Yeah.
And then we have just general pins and rewards that you can get as well.
Very cool. So
and this
mortals
is
like
out-
I can go ahead and get my hands on something as well, right?
True.
It's like,
And then these are outside of like contest mode. So contest mode, you get that unique emblem in game. With normal mode, there will be an emblem. There will be those rewards, weapons, etc.
Certainly.
But then some things out of game as well. So
Awesome.
to get into the contest mode, 1995 is the recommended power.
Okay.
Outside of that, it's like if contest isn't your thing, once that fire team finishes first, then we open up normal mode afterwards. So.
Cool. But either way, contests will be available for that first 48 hours.
First 48 hours
Cool.
too. And then if you want to join in with the community and have a watching experience, we have the Dungeon Zone hosted by CB Gray and Evan F.
Couple of legends.
Yeah, big thank you to them because this is going to be a community-driven kind of like, hey, they're tracking a ton of teams that are vying for that first place.
Yeah.
They're going to be hopping through that. They'll have some pre-show stuff that's really fun to watch. We'll also have Twitch drops. We'll have
Jacket,
emblems to earn
shirt
through
jacket,
that.
okay.
So yeah, tons of folks to watch, and then tons of gameplay to jump into on the 7th.
That rules. I can't wait. Excellent. Well, everyone as well, if they need to find this was in a previous TWID as well?
Yeah, so we have a previous TWID. We're going to have another TWID just before the 7th to walk through this again. And then we also have like the terms and conditions for the dungeon race and all that. That's on help.bungie.net. So.
Excellent. Very cool. All right. Excited. Can't wait to tune in. CB Gray, Evan F. Can't wait to go ahead and see what you got in store for us. But now we have one more item to speak about. As has become tradition in these streams, we've got one more thing to go ahead and show you. Now it's time to take a first look at the newest collaboration that's going to be coming to Destiny 2. And this one is joining us from a galaxy far, far away.
Star Wars?
Chat, I'm gonna keep
Oh
an eye
my
on you. I'm sure you're
God.
going to start going nuts soon, but that's right. Our next collaboration is inspired by a universe that's loved by so many of us here at the studio, Star Wars. Now,
That's insane.
Today, we're going to
What?
be taking a look at the new Star Wars-inspired armor sets that are going to be joining Destiny. And I
Death
say there's
Star
no time
goes?
quite like the present. First up,
We're
we've
so
got
back,
the Covert
baby.
Ranger set for hunters.
We're so
let me take
back.
a quick look at that one.
We're so
This
back,
one
baby.
is inspired by none other than the elite Death
The mouse has
Troopers.
gotta
Oh my God,
eat.
I can't wait.
Such a beautiful cape.
Seriously.
Hunters are never going to need to use Super Black again. Are you kidding me?
Don't tempt us. We'll find a way. Yes, this one, and as are the other ones that you're going to see, are obviously all going to be arriving on day one of Heresy. Up next, Warlocks. Worry not, we've got you covered as well. We've got the Royal Protector set for you guys, and this time it's inspired by the
Royal.
Imperial Royal Guards.
Imperial
If
Royal
you've ever
Guards,
found yourself
okay.
in a throne room
Destiny's
in the Star Wars
back,
universe,
baby.
you've probably been intimidated by these guys.
Get out of the
Now's
way,
your chance to
Fortnite.
go ahead and do the same intimidation when you load into trials or anything
You want to play
like that.
Star
This
Wars?
one
We
is
got you.
Obscenely cool. And then last, but very not least, we've got the Shock Enforcer set for Titans. This one's inspired by the classic Stormtroopers.
Literal Titan.
Yeah, and this one
no
actually I
aim.
heard comes with an intrinsic perk that tanks your accuracy.
That's so.
pretty cool.
It's all right. They're Titans. They're just going to go ahead and punch you anyway, honestly. We'll check on that intrinsic perk. But yes, this one, obviously, to the classic Stormtroopers out there, the fans of those, Titans, you are going to go ahead and be set and ready to go ahead and don this. Now, obviously, there's going to be some stuff that will transcend across all of the different classes, including a new ghost shell that we'd love to go ahead and show you as well. We now have, let's go ahead and take a look here. This is
That's no moon.
the DS2 Ghost Shell, as you can tell, operational, but it's inspired
No
by
moon.
none other than the return of the Jedi Death Star. So it's a bit of a work in progress, but who among us isn't? It's
So good, man. I love the effect that comes out of the front.
I know, it never is, honestly. I remember the first time I saw
Rip
it. I
Alderaan,
just quietly
Jesus.
lost myself, honestly, in a meeting. Thankfully, I was muted on Teams. But yeah, this one has been super exciting. Now, there's also more as a part of this collaboration for you to explore. So worry not, there's also a Sparrow, a ship, emotes, and a finisher, all for you to check out when Heresy launches. But of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't take a chance, for starters, to give huge thanks to our friends here at Bungie that helped put this together. Kelly out on the marketing team, and then our friends over at Lucasfilm Games. It's been incredible to go ahead and work with you side by side to put this together. And of course, to make sure you're all in the know, and we give you a heads up of exactly where this is going to be, it will not be at Tashi Station with the power converters. These will be available on Eververse when Heresy launches on day one. So just want to make sure you're all aware
Millennium Falcon
of
ship.
that. And also, I got to say, I, for one, am going to be keeping a close eye on the R Destiny fashion subreddit because I can't wait to
X-Wing?
see what they got for us.
Yeah.
After
Millennium
this.
Falcon?
They're going to have this. They're going to have new Trials armor, new seasonal or episodic armor.
Yeah.
They're going to have tons of new Eververse options, but tons of new options you earn in the game. Put it all together, make something dope.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome, very exciting. Well, I think, honestly, we've had a huge docket of things to go ahead and go on through, but now we can all collectively exhale and leave a little bit more for the Guardians at home to discover when Heresy launches next week.
Frontiers,
but
Apollo.
that concludes it for
Frontiers,
our show today.
Apollo.
So first things first, obviously, Guardians, to all of you out there, even to the individual spamming my face as an emote in chat, thank you all so much for joining us today. These shows are a ton of fun for us to get to put on. We love getting to share what we've been working on with all of you, but it doesn't matter unless you show up. So genuinely, thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Obviously, to our fire team in the back of the house, to my compatriot in social media, Mitch, to Ashley, to Peyton. They're the ones really driving this stream. We just get to talk about what's on stream. So thank you for going ahead and lending us your talents. Obviously, to our friends here on the couch as well.
70K earlier.
Nico, who
Dead
is
game.
somewhere around here. Obviously, Nico, thank you for joining us. Eric, Ryan, Dylan, thank you guys. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you.
To the crew here as well. Again, you have the challenge of dealing with me, so thank you all so much for your hard work. We seriously appreciate it. As a quick reminder to close things up, Heresy Act 1 launches just next week on February 4th, so go ahead, make sure
7
you
days.
got that day off. I don't, but I'll be cheering for all of you that do.
Take off Wednesday.
So you can check
Delays
out
on
the Nether,
Tuesday.
all of the new gear and weapons that you're going to be able to have available to you. Start checking out how to get your hands on those exotics and building them all up. Our collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, Star Wars is pretty exciting. And of course, the Sundered Doctrine Dungeon Race will be there as well. But that's right. So now we're going to go ahead and get ready to close things out. But before we do, we're going to leave the stream live for just a little bit longer. So if you need to go ahead and wrap up that Twitch drop, you can do so. And go ahead and do us a favor and stick around, because once we finish up here, we're going to raid our good friend MacDix. So while I appreciate the bits and cheers and everything here in chat, save your Twitch Prime sub, save everything you can. Go over to him, give him a follow, donate to the Game to Give stuff, pardon me, if you can, to help us do some good through the Bungie Foundation. But that's it. So for now, thank you all so much again for joining us. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
Goodbye, Andy. There you go. That's the Bungie dev stream for January 28th, 2025. Talking about Heresy, Season 26, the last season before Frontiers. Nothing on Frontiers or Apollo. Could be delayed, could be smaller. They could be still cooking it. Go ahead and lower your expectations. I always say lowers your expectations. Coolest thing from the Bungie stream today. Definitely. I mean, it's got to be the Star Wars thing, right? I mean, that's silly. I'm so easy. The Star Wars thing. Dreadnought coming back second. You can kind of be in an exploratory mode. That's kind of what I was looking for. But it's not a true patrol space. But there will be some mystery, some hidden things. That's a little bit what we were looking for. When the Taken King first came out, that Dreadnought was like, you know, a secret mystery around every corner. It was really cool. So won't be quite like that, but Ark's cooking this season. The weird circle SMG blight gun was surprising. Shield Brothers back. I don't. Yeah, what's the? Do we get a new strike this season? I'm not sure. Crafting, no crafting. I mean, I care a little bit here and there. I'd prefer a little less crafting, which is what they're doing. Crafting and Vogue, that's cool. I like to chase stuff. I have the time to chase stuff. I don't mind when I don't get what I want. I'm kind of a masochist that way. Crafting kind of waters that down. But in the end, I don't really care either way. Speeder Bike Sparrow, Millennium Falcon ship, please. I want to know how much Bungie had to pay for the licenses from LucasArts, Disney, Star Wars, and then how much they're going to make. Like, it cost them $500,000 in licensing, and they're going to make $5 million. I'd say that's a pretty good investment. Millennium Falcon. Yeah, Sony probably definitely had the pockets for that one for sure. Surely the ship's the giant TIE fighter behind the Guardians in the promo art. Yeah, maybe. TIE fighter. Yeah, I think TIE fighter would make more sense than Millennium Falcon. Millennium Falcon is so, like, oddly, so specific. Don't see your Twitch drop. Did you watch the Bungie stream? No more missed revenue targets by 45% headlines. Let's go. VOG rework is a welcome addition. Very rarely do the seasonal weapons get you excited. Same. Yeah, big same. A lot of nostalgia tied in those VOG weapons. First raid weapons ever in the game, 2014. You have time to chase it, though. I actually rely on crafting to catch up. I mean, I have time to chase stuff, but normally I just don't get shit all the time. It's fine with me. I like when people have some things that not everyone has. Like, I don't have everything, and I'm fine with it. My stream didn't count? No. Exclamation point, Bungie stream. Had their stream on 1% volume, no Twitch drops. Uh-oh. Watched it the entire time. Uh-oh. Yeah, double check, make sure, triple check your connections are connected. Maybe go through Bungie and disconnect stuff and reconnect it later. I don't know. Epic Q, thanks to the 8 months of primers. Go back stream. Okay, that's the end of the recording. Goodbye. YouTube. Recording video thing. Yeah, that. Woo!